The US ends Nation League with a 2-0 win, a 2-0 over Canada, and takes home their second Nations League trophy in 2 years. Today we're going to talk about BJ Callaghan and his ability to set up this lineup, how the team played, what the goals looked like, and what led us to Chris Richards towering over the Canadian defense to get his first goal for the national team, as well as Folarin, Balogun's first goal, which was a treat. So we're going to break all of that down, talk about the final game, and maybe have some news about Gregg Berhalter. So let's get into it. The starting lineup only really had one surprise. We had Matt Turner in goal, and then from left to right in the defense, we had Anthony Robinson, Chris Richards, Walker Zimmerman, and Joe Scally. We know that Miles Robinson is injured, so Walker Zimmerman makes sense, and Serginho Dest was on a red card suspension, so it makes sense that Joe Scally was going to come in at right back. Then in midfield, here is where the surprises started, because Yunus Musah was playing as a lone six once the game started, and next to him on either side was Gio Reyna and Brenden Aaronson. Now we think about these two players as more attacking players, but again, I want to give BJ Callaghan and the team credit for this, because the energy that they showed in this match and the way that Gio Reyna was able to increase his work rate into that defensive third, he was getting up and down the pitch, connecting between defense and attack. It just worked really well, and I think Brenden Aaronson was the huge surprise here, because we all thought that Luca De La Torre was going to take this other spot in the 4-3-3 midfield, but it made a lot of sense once the game started, because Alphonso Davies is by far and away the most dangerous player for Canada. I know we need to talk about Jonathan David and Kyle Larin, but really Alphonso Davies is probably the best player in CONCACAF. He was going to get up and down that left side. Now for the US, they needed to think about how were they going to defend that side, especially with Serginho Dest out of this match. Joe Scally is good in defense and tactically sound to play in a back four or a back five, but we know that he was probably going to have trouble with the speed and athleticism that Alphonso Davies brings. So what did we do? Well, we brought in Brenden Aaronson, who isn't necessarily known for his defensive or tackling ability, but the thing that he is known for is his work rate and his tenacity. I think we saw that, and what it did was it frustrated Alphonso Davies and it frustrated the Canadian midfield, because Brenden Aaronson, while he didn't win many tackles, he was almost always directly in the face of Davies, didn't give him any time to take that first or second touch, and every time that he did have space, because of the way that Joe Scally and Brenden Aaronson were defending him 2v1, Alphonso Davies either had to take the ball closer to the sideline, or if he was going to bring it to the midfield, he had 2 or 3 defenders facing him. So we really shut Alphonso Davies down that right side, and we could see even in that later part of the first half, Alphonso Davies switched sides to the right to try and take advantage of that side that had Gio Reyna and Anthony Robinson, but because it wasn't his natural side, and Anthony Robinson, to his credit as well, had a great game, especially on the defensive front, Alphonso Davies really couldn't find the space and really couldn't find the fluidity that he's usually able to find to take over the match. And then up top, this has to be our starting front three: Christian Pulisic on the left, Balogun in the center, and Timothy Weah on the right. Timothy Weah again was just showing his speed and ability to get in behind and stretch the defense. Christian Pulisic, he didn't have as much of a stunner as he did against Mexico, but there were a few dribbles that we could see, again, the amount that he provides this team in transition. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. On the 2 goals, great, but on the whole, between these 2 games, there was another level for the US in the speed at which they were able to move the ball from their defensive third into the attack, and the speed at which they were able to counter. And that was thanks to a lot of Timothy Weah stretching the defense, but that was also thanks to Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna's ability to find their way out of danger. Then we think about Yunus Musah playing as the lone six. I mean, he's not known for his physicality, but he was winning a lot of tackles, he was winning a lot of headers, and the ability for a 6 to be able to defend and then turn, beat a man, and find that space to make the pass into the attacking third, I mean, that was invaluable. So that actually brings me to the question of the day for you. What does our midfield look like when everybody is healthy? BJ Callaghan has a 100% record. He's 2-0 right now, 1 trophy for the Nations League. He deserves a lot of credit for the creativity that he was able to show with this lineup. Again, we all thought that Luca De La Torre was going to come in for that midfield position, but the creativity that he showed and the awareness that he showed to know that Brenden Aaronson is going to be the one that helps the most with that Alphonso Davies side, it really made a difference in this game. The energy as well that the team showed throughout the 180 minutes between the Mexico and Canada match, we haven't always looked up for these matches. And I think the more and more that this team gets these big games under them, the more and more that we had World Cup matches with a lot on the line, you can see how much this has improved their ability to understand what to bring to these matches. And again, Christian Pulisic is 24 years old, the captain of this team, one of the most tenured players on this team. Yunus Musa is about to hit 30 caps at 20 years old. I think the more and more they get these big games under their belt, the more and more they win these trophies, go to the World Cup, go to Copa America, that only drives their ability to think about the mentality that it takes to win these matches constantly. I think this team, what has frustrated us in the past is that we haven't been always able to dominate CONCACAF in the way that we should based on the talent and ability that is on the field. I think this Nations League was what we know our potential to be. This was a dominating performance, 5-0, 5 goals scored, 0 goals given up across the two matches against two of our biggest rivals and the other two best teams in CONCACAF. This was our potential, and it will only get better from here. Now, I know we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Gregg Berhalter. Guys, sometimes with this channel, it seems like I don't really belong here, right? Like, I know that Heath Pierce is on In Soccer We Trust. He's getting on after the game, giving these incredible breakdowns as someone that has played the game at a high level. I know that we have Tactical Manager and 11 Yanks that seem to be always on 24/7 covering these matches. I don't necessarily have that. I have a wife, I have a young child, 4 months old. I haven't played the game at a high level. I have a full-time job that takes me away Monday through Friday. And when something like this happens, especially with these games, 9-10 p.m. East Coast, I'm doing my best to try and churn out content. And I thank everyone so much for being here and watching this. I know it's not on right after the match, but the fact that you're here a day after, maybe you're watching this, 24, 48 hours after the match, I just thank you so much. Sometimes it feels like I'm not supposed to be here. I don't belong within this USMNT YouTube community because I'm not able to cover everything at the moment that it happens. So the fact that you're watching this right now, it means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that. Now, in saying that, I promise you that I have a lot of thoughts to talk about Gregg Berhalter. I will get that video out this week, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel with alerts on, because I need an entire different video. I need an entirely different frame of mind to talk about that and dissect it into what I want it to be, which is a nuanced discussion about his sporting ability. There are so many other things that are kind of surrounding it as a circus that is stopping us from having that conversation. But that's what I want to do. So it takes time to research, to think about what I want to say, to think about the way that I want to say it. That still feels authentic to me. So that will be out later this week. If you do want to read what I am probably going to talk about, I do have a Substack. Sometimes with everything happening around me, it's easier to write something instead of producing an entire video, editing, putting it on YouTube. So if you do want to read that stuff a few days before these videos come out, make sure you're subscribed to the Substack as well. All right, back to the game. The physicality of this team really struck me. And again, the way that we were able to bring the energy and really crank the level up to 11 in this game. I thought Walker Zimmerman, for where he was in this match and the speed that Canada was bringing, he did really well to play some emergency defense. Chris Richards was excellent again, and I'm so glad that he was able to get his first goal. That goal in itself was just him wanting it so much more than everyone else in the box. The delivery from Gio Reyna, the outswinger, that was at the perfect speed and head height. It was at the 6-yard box, so the goalkeeper couldn't come out and claim it. Everything about that set piece was perfect. From Gio Reyna's attention on his delivery to Chris Richards' tenacity to get that ball. Excellent first goal from the US. And then we have to talk about this Balogun goal. His first for the US, it brings the US to 2-0 and kind of shuts down that first half for the US going into halftime. Now, for anyone that has watched Balogun in League On this season, you know that this is essentially his bread and butter of how he's getting these goals. He's timing his run perfectly. He's angling his body and decelerating at the right time to take his shot. And then the speed and power that he's able to generate from these shots to get past the keeper are just insane. The technical quality that he showed was just so clean. The way that he took that run, the way that he struck the ball, everything about it was clean. This is the exact skill set that Balogun brings to the table. And I know that maybe Josh Sargent makes that run, but does he hit that shot? I know that Pepe hits that shot, but does he make that run? Balogun is the complete number 9 that has to be written in blood on our team sheet as one of the first players on that list for the starting 11 going forward. If you do want to watch the scouting report, which shows you everything you need to know about Balogun, including that exact skill set, we talk about it. There's a free video available on the Patreon. It's a scouting report for Balogun, so I'll link that down below. I know I'm linking a lot of stuff, but everything's just coming back in full force. Some things that we've talked about in scouting reports or discussions before, all of that is ringing true in these games now that they're coming alive and showing their potential for the US men's national team. Turner and our defense were very good as well, and I'm glad that against Canada they were actually tested enough, especially Matt Turner, who hasn't really faced many shots, got to face shots, got to show his shot stopping ability. And what I really liked about Matt Turner in this match against Canada is that he wasn't afraid to play it long. He wasn't afraid to get it out of danger. He wasn't trying to show off with his passing range. He was really just the starting point for where the US was going to build variety in their attack. Are we going to go long? And Balogun, he's been able to show that he's actually a great hold-up player. Are we going to go long to him? Or are we going to build out from the back by hitting it to Chris Richards and Anthony Robinson and playing some triangles between Gio Reyna and Christian Pulisic? There's so much variety and diversity in the way that we are building attack throughout these two matches against Mexico and Canada that just has to make you really excited about the future of this team. Now, the second half, the US comes out 2-0. Balogun probably could have gotten that third goal, but it was a nice goal line clearance from Canada, and we kind of packed it in. We started going back into a 4-5-1, and then eventually we turned this into a 5-4-1 and really made the lines close together in our box. We didn't give Canada a lot of room to work around our box, and especially for a team like Canada who's trying to use their speed and athleticism on the counterattack on the wings, it really started to condense the space and not allow them much attacking opportunities. US wins it 2-0, second Nations League win in a row. Bing, bang, boom. The US is your Nations League 2023 champions. Again, credit to BJ Callaghan and all of the coaching staff that took us through the Mexico and Canada game. I guess all we have to say to Canada now is sorry. All right, that is it for us. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this analysis and breakdown, then make sure to subscribe to the channel below. We just crossed 10,000 subscribers, so we smashed through 10,000. We're at 10.6 right now. If you do want a chance to win a free kit, make sure you're signed up in the giveaway. That link is also down below. Otherwise, we will see you next time on It's Called Soccer. Make sure that you have alerts on so you can see when I put out my Gregg Berhalter analysis later this week. Peace.